My name is Gabriel Pearson. I'm a producer and engineer. I'm originally from Silver Spring, Maryland. Moved out here about 5 years ago to pursue music. And basically I ended up in New York specifically because, I was in audio engineering school, and I'd say about a month out, I went to LA and I went to New York for interviews. And actually, just New York ended up hitting first. It wasn't really me picking New York for any other reason than that. Both LA and New York had great opportunities. New York hit first, so I, packed all my things and just made my way out here to make a career as a producer and engineer. My first internship was Lounge Studios in Midtown Manhattan. That's the initial internship that brought me out here. In that time, I also was kind of figuring out if I wanted another internship at other spaces or like what was my best fit and the best option for me. One of those spaces was Quad. After interning at Quad as well as Lounge at the same time, I realized that I wanted to put all my energy into Lounge because it fit me better. And they were giving me the opportunities and other things that I was really looking for from an internship. I ended up finding basically a mentor, which, to be honest, whether you're a producer or engineer like me, I feel like everyone needs at least someone along their journey to mentor under and pick their brains. The amount of things that I learned from a mentor is just like, there's no comparison to school or anything else in my opinion. You also need to find someone that's, respects the cycle of giving back and is willing and open to answer your questions and gives you those opportunities. So his name was MixbyGabriel. He's mixed for pretty much everyone you can think of, but definitely is like Solange Knowles' main mix engineer and tracking engineer. So basically, Cook It Up was started before I was a part of it. Super Touch, who is the other person at the space, basically started this a few years back and has been growing, basically putting in and bringing out different pieces, figuring out what would be the end result or like the final selection of basically hand-curated equipment to get a certain vocal chain and a certain sound and basically have a certain sound at Cook It Up. Once he came to that conclusion and found the exact setup he wanted, it's just basically been an ongoing, level up process of just building the brand out. The concept is basically, we want this to be seen as a boutique facility in the sense of we're very hands-on. 90% of the studios out here, I literally have so many people reach out to me on a daily basis who have had, just horrible things or stories from these bigger studios just because what they do is they're doing it the wrong way. They're booking spaces for the space and how they look and the history of the space, but not understanding that it's the engineer who really matters in the situation. So we're having a hands-on approach here. We really care about this. We really want to sit down with the artists, understand what their goal is, tell them what we can do for them, tell them what we can bring to the table, and really just handcraft some music from scratch, turning a song into a record from start to finish. I prefer, at the end of the day, doing hybrid mixing. I feel like even just having one thing on your mix bus or one EQ at the end of your vocal chain really brings depth, width, and just dimension that's not brought from just in the box. Yeah, you can get pretty close, but there's that added something, that added sparkle that you're missing when you don't at least have even just a summing unit or some sort of something that's analog, that's out the box. I feel like really does up the ante on things. Besides, you can push it harder and it actually sounds better when you push it harder. Digital clipping is not the best thing, but analog you can push, and it actually creates a sound and a vibe. When I'm mixing, I tend to, I'd say 95% of the time, obviously depending on the genre, if I don't have any low end, really, I wouldn't start with the low end, obviously, but most of the time I'm starting with the low end and working my way up. So it's bass, bring in the kick, bring in other percussion elements, then after that, I bring in the music. So I'm pretty much always starting with the beat. But the thing is, when I'm halfway through mixing the beat, I'm bringing in that lead vocal to see how it meshes. Because at the end of the day, you're not just mixing a beat, you're mixing a song. So you need to bring in that vocal at least midpoint to see how it's gonna clash or fit. Because you're basically deciding your moves, like what you're EQing out of the beat, on nothing unless you bring the vocal in to see if it's gonna fit, what clashes, what I need to take out. So that's my approach. Is I'm pretty much always a beat to vocal guy, and then halfway through the beat bringing in the vocal. So one of like the biggest things that I want my platform, my social media, whatever you want to call it, just like when people do, read up on me or see videos of me, I really want to preach I really just want to help the next person, so the next producer and engineer doesn't have to experience a lot of these other things that I see people experiencing or I experience myself, such as, not feeling valued, feeling like you have to not take any money because this person has this amount of followers or this person did this, that, and the third. And then also, one of the biggest things is feeling like there is only one way to make it as a producer and an audio engineer, meaning you have to work with this person. If you don't work with this person, then you're not gonna make it, or you have to work at this big studio and, basically work hours that you're not favorable of for long times, and just not being treated right. Just at the end of the day, being miserable in order to make it in this industry. I just want to tell you that that's not the case. You can literally, there is no right or wrong way to your journey. You can get to the end goal so many different ways. Don't let anyone tell you differently. I'm a living example of that. I didn't go the normal way that everyone thinks you have to go, which is, intern to tracking engineer at the studio to working your way up at that space. I actually pretty much just interned. I worked at Lounge for a bit. Just basically they would give me clients out of one of their rooms that I basically built out. They had an extra room and I ended up building out that room. So I had those opportunities, but at the end of the day, I wasn't working at like that space and like their engineer and like full time, you know what I mean? It wasn't like a thing. So I really just went from intern to freelance straight up, which is not common, but I made it work, and look at me now, I'm full-time making money off of music. So at the end of the day, I want all you to know what value you bring to the table, not dipping below that, and just knowing what worth you have as a mix engineer or as a producer. At the end of the day, we are artists just as well as the artists that we're working with. And they need to have that respect, just like we have that respect for them. Give us the proper credit, give us a piece of the record, make us feel like we are a part of the record, you know what I mean? Because why would someone want to go above and beyond for someone that doesn't even make them feel like you helped with it, you know what I mean? So that's my 2 cents on basically what I want my platform to be seen as, or what I just want people to take from a lot of the things that I say. I really just want people to understand there is no right or wrong way to make it in this, and understand that you are an artist and that you bring something to the table, and you need to stand up for yourself, basically. Put your foot down, don't just bend and fold,